Thank you all for your great welcoming remarks. And it's just very exciting. I'm not an LA person. I'm from New York City. You could tell from my background. But it's really exciting to hear about all this great stuff going on in the city. And in particular with the understanding that soils are important. So now we're going to go to the project overview. And this is going to be 15 minutes. Next slide, please. And I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Yujuan Chen, who's the Senior Manager of Urban Forestry Policy with Tree People. I've been working with Yujuan for quite a number of years now. And take it from me, if it wasn't for her, we would not be having this symposium today. So thank you for all of your efforts. So Dr. Chen's interest in soils is based on the fact that soil is the foundation of life. And so we'll go to the next slide and she'll begin her presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Pouyat. Good morning, everybody. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this symposium is part of a Healthy Soil for Healthy Community Initiative, Phase 1 Needs Assessment Project. So now we are going to tell you a little bit more about the project. So this is a one-year project from January to December. It's funded by Accelerating Climate Resilience, a sponsored project of Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisor, thanks to our generous funder for making it possible. Next slide, please. So what's the first thing coming to mind when you think about soil? It is amazing to see. It doesn't matter which language do you speak, where you are from, we have the word soil. We also ask this question at the registration, why you are interested in soil. And here are the results we got thanks to everybody's input. As you can see, some of the top keywords here. Yes, soil is the foundation of life. Soil is everything, and it's critical to climate, it's critical to landscape and to urban environment and to everyone like us here. Most importantly, here's some facts. Next slide, please. It's related to the food we eat and the water we drink every day. And also it's related to biodiversity and carbon and climate resilience. Globally, over 90% of our food comes from soil. And soil is important for both water supply and water quality. And also it can mitigate drought and floods. It also hosts about a quarter of our planet's biodiversity. It stores more carbon. Soil stores about 3 times more carbon than the vegetation, and twice the carbon that is present in the atmosphere. The list can go on and on. Most importantly, it's about public health. Next slide, please. If you are from Los Angeles, you must have heard about oxidation. This is a very good example to show why soil is important, not just about the soil, why healthy soil are so important for our communities. This year at Tree People, we just launched this Healthy Soil for Healthy Community Initiative. Next slide, please. Because especially in the context of climate change, like extreme heat, fire, drought, and flooding we are facing, Los Angeles or California as a whole, we are definitely the front runner to experience all the climate impacts. So the question becomes, how can we find nature-based solutions to address climate crisis? How can we connect all the dots? So far, we know soil has a lot to offer. At the same time, there are lots of emerging issues we have to address. How can we connect the dots here? Soil is the broad infrastructure for a more sustainable, climate resilient, and equitable future for all. It has a great potential to mitigate climate change and also to build climate resilience. Next slide, please. So this year at Tree People, we just launched this Healthy Soil for Healthy Community initiative. There are 3 questions we are trying to answer here. For Los Angeles soil, what do we need? That's the first question. And how can we find potential solution to meet the needs? This is the second question. And the last question, once we know what is possible, and how can we implement those solutions from the policy level to the grassroots level? So there are 3 phases of this initiative. And the first one is a needs assessment based on community consultation and also expert meeting. And the second phase is to do cutting edge research and also demonstration project. And the last one is to scaling it up from the policy level to the grassroots level. So right now we are at phase 1, which is a needs assessment funded by Accelerating Climate Resilience, a sponsored project of the Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisor, thanks to our generous funder for making it possible. Within the phase 1, there are 3 questions we are trying to answer here. What do we have? What do we want? Or what do we need? And how can we get there? So step 1 is to determine the current status of LA's urban soil. The step 2 is to identify current and long-term urban soil related issues and also community needs in Los Angeles. And the last step is to develop a framework to move forward. This is our project team. I'm not going to read everybody's name since we have lots of people here. And we also have our steering committee here. So if you are working with us on this project, please type yes in the chat box. Either you are working with us as a project member or as a steering committee. Next slide, please. So to know what we have, we analyze LA County land cover data. Right now we have data for LA County, 88 cities, and also unincorporated areas. The map you see here is the land cover map for LA County. So the green color is tree canopy. So we have 8 different land cover classes. The green represents tree canopy, and brown represents bare soil, and the red there represent buildings. In LA County, we have 44% bare soil, which is about half of the land cover we have, not mentioning the land covered by concrete, by buildings, by other pavement here. So it is very critical how we manage those land and soil in the county. In addition to land cover data analysis, we are also doing a literature review to collect and also synthesize all the existing soil data in LA, and working with our partner from NRCS for the soil survey data, because as many of you might already know, we are very fortunate in LA. We are one of few cities has our own soil survey. So for the soil survey, it provides the baseline data for our soil management here. And our colleague, Randy, will talk a little bit more in the morning session. We also discovered about 350 new soil samples from LA, working with US Forest Service partner. So we are going to have additional data from LA. Next slide, please. As this is a needs assessment, we couldn't do it alone. We need your help. We need your input. And also, we want to hear from you. What do you need? So we're going to disseminate 4 online surveys. Either you're a resident in the county, or you're a policymaker working from the city, the county, or the state level. Or if you're a professional working with soil, or if you're a teacher or educator, you will have a chance to say what you need or what your community needs for our soil. So stay tuned for the survey, and which will be disseminated soon. We are also planning to do some focus groups to have some in-depth conversation with our key partners here and to learn more about what we need in LA. Now, Rich is going to talk about a little bit more about the symposium as part of the project.
Thank you, Yujuan. So like I mentioned earlier, we broke the day up into 3 sessions. Now to get a little bit more specific, the morning session, I'll be giving an overview of urban soils. We'll have Dr. Irmas and Randy Riddle talking more additionally about urban soils, Randy in particular about LA soils. And then we'll finish up the morning session with a presentation by Tatiana Morin, who's the director of the New York Institute for Urban Soils, as a model for what LA can potentially do. And then we have 2 very distinguished speakers for lunch to give a community perspective on urban soils, and we'll have Andy Lipkis and Irma Munoz do that. We're going to give you a little bit of time to go out and grab a sandwich or something like that for lunch, but we are going to fill up most of the lunch session with speakers. And then in the afternoon session, we're going to be talking more about solutions to some of the challenges that we face with urban soils with presentations by Dr. Kirsten Schwartz, Dr. Susan Day, and Dr. Sally Brown. So very excited to have this lineup of speakers for you. Go to the next slide, please. And so as the day progresses, we came up with some questions here, and some of you might recognize that the first 2 questions are a play on John F. Kennedy's famous speech where he talked about it's not what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. Well, we could put a little twist on that, and we're saying it's not what your soil can do for you, it's what you can do for your soil. And so we've kind of couched those in the first 2 questions there. But we also like for you to think about how we as a community of urban soil enthusiasts can collaborate and achieve the above. Okay, so the next slide, I'm going to turn it back to Yujuan.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. Here, I want to thank our generous funder, Accelerating Climate Resilience, a sponsored project of Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisor. I think we have Andy, Deborah, and Jen online with us. Thank you all. I also want to thank everybody on the team. We definitely have an amazing team from both street people and also outside of street people. We have partners from universities, from the local government, and also from other community groups. So thank you all and enjoy the symposium.
Next slide, please. So now we're going to do the urban soil overview with 3 talks in the morning, and then we'll finish it off with the New York City example.